Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sari and you are watching my knitting podcast videos. We are leaving for Scotland tomorrow morning, so I'm trying to keep this episode as short as possible so I have time to edit it, but I was going to show you some of my finished things and what I have on my needles. So here's a little sneak peek of my finished knitwears, and here's some of my whips as well as here on my needles. This sweater I'm trying to finish the neckband before we go so I can take this sweater with me to Scotland tomorrow. Let me start by showing you what I knitted with the two skeins of Woolfolk Flat I showed you at the end of my previous episode. You might remember me telling you about the new Woolfolk yarn called Flat, and it's a boucle yarn that is 100% merino, and they had an Instagram contest and I was very lucky to be one of the winners, and I received two skeins to try. I never win anything. I'm that type of person who never wins anything in any kind of contest, so I was really surprised that I got picked. But I got to work with this beautiful off-white, natural white color. So I had two skeins, as I said. So I made this little hat for myself for the winter. And I don't even have the words to describe how amazingly soft this yarn is. You must try it for yourself. I'm dreaming about knitting a sweater with this yarn. I'm pretty sure I would be living in that sweater. It's so amazingly soft. It's like a kitten. My husband said it's almost like a kitten to touch this. It's so soft, and I really like this. I'm more of a summer person, so I'm not really waiting for winter or the cold weathers, but this hat actually makes me kind of excited for the colder weathers. This will make it. This will make the cold weather so much more tolerable for me. I'm thinking about writing the pattern for this hat, even though it's really simple. But so many of you have asked me on Instagram about this hat and about the pattern, so I was thinking about writing it out so you can knit your own flat hat. But I don't even have words to describe how amazing this yarn is, and it's so soft. One of my new favorites. Another thing, I can finally show you this whole sweater. This is the one I've been showing you bits and pieces of during the summer, and like I have told you, I got the chance to be part of the Fibre Company's beta knitting team. So I got to try out their new yarn base called Talor, and here it is. This is part of their Borrowdale collection, and the designer of this sweater is Natasja Hornby, and this pullover is called Brandelhow. So this is their new yarn, the Fibre Company Lore, and the colorway is called Logical. So it has this mock cable pattern and broken rib here on the front, and also similar on the back, but the broken rib continues all the way until the bottom hem. It also has this really interesting construction for the elbows and sleeves. So, like I have showed you already earlier, the knitting started with these little squares of garter stitch for both shoulders, and then we cast it on for the front and the back, picking up stitches along these patches. And at the end, the sleeves were knitted by picking up stitches from this side of the little square, and with short rows, the sleeves were shaped with short rows. So this was my first time ever knitting a sweater with this kind of construction, and I think I learned quite a lot of it, and it's such a lovely design. And you can check the whole collection. They have a whole collection of really beautiful knits, not just this Brandelhow sweater, but they have a lot of beautiful sweaters and cardigans and yarns for this cardigans and shawls for this new yarn base. So I will link the whole collection here below the video, so you can go and check that out for yourself. At the beginning of summer, I was telling you that I was going to take part of the Fringe Association blog's Summer of Basics make along, but unfortunately I have to admit that I failed at it this year. I knitted the sleeveless tank top at the beginning of summer. You might remember the white silk tank top that I have showed you, but that's about it what I made for the Summer of Basics. So even though I made such big plans of learning to sew during the summer, that never happened. One of the main reasons is that it was so unbelievably hot this summer, so I didn't really want to sit inside and try to learn how to use the sewing machine and so on. I rather spent the time outside. And also in my other plans was to make the black cardigan coat, so that didn't happen either. Even thinking about holding Let Loppy made my palms sweat, and trying to make a whole cardigan coat when it's over 30 degrees Celsius outside and even more inside. It didn't really feel like a good idea, so I decided to skip it for the summer. So at the beginning of August I started to make alternative plans for my Summer of Basics, and as I was going through my yarns, I realized that my whip pile was totally out of control. I had so many unfinished projects on my needles, and I made a conscious decision that I would finish them rather than starting yet another project that I was rushing to finish. So I have finished quite a lot because of that. Here's another white sweater that I can show you. This is something I started already last year, over a year ago, and I had knitted the front up to the armholes, and then either I got bored with it or I was more excited about something else, so it was left unfinished for the longest of times. And it often happens to me that if I don't finish something immediately, if I leave it undone for a while, then I lose interest and it's really hard for me to pick it up again and start working on it. So if I haven't worked on something for 1 year and I still don't feel I'm excited about that project, then it's better for me to just rip it back and do something else with the yarn. But when I was watching this whip, I actually realized that I still like it very much, so I decided to finish it. But I didn't make the same cable. At the beginning I was planning to make the same cable on the back and on the front and the back, but I decided to leave the back with just moss stitch and these simple cables here on the sides, and then the sleeves are just simple moss stitch. But I made these little elbow details to make this more interesting. I have a couple of white cabled pullovers like the Brandelhow and my narwhal and one another. So I decided I don't need another basic white pullover, so I wanted this to be a bit more special. So these are made with the log capping technique. So I first knitted this one and then picked up stitches for the sides. The yarn for this is Holst Garn Supersoft in 3 different colors. This is the Goldcrest, and I can't remember what this is. I have to check it. I will write it down below. And this is Ecru, the off-white color. So these are my 2 finished pullovers. I also finished one cardigan, but I will show it to you in the next episode since it's still unblocked. So I want to show it to you when it's like totally ready. In my previous episode, I also showed you this top-down hat. This was the one that I started a bit differently to the others. So this is the same technique as for toe-up socks. And it's now finished. The yarn for this is Kerho Pom Pom's merino single. And this is how it looks on my head. And also this one, I will be writing the pattern. The first top-down hat that I showed you might remember the pink hat and also the grey hat that I made with the same pattern. It is now live on Ravelry, and I made one more hat with the same pattern. This is a bit smaller version of the same hat, so this is for my son, and I added a brown stripe here in the bottom for his hat. So now we have similar hats for the fall. Oh, no. I will show you one more finished thing here before I start talking about what I'm knitting at the moment. These are also for my son. I just finished them. As you can see, I haven't, all the yarn ends are still unwoven here, and this one I have blocked, but this is unblocked. You can see the difference between a blocked sock and the unblocked one. And this pattern is similar as my Jules sock pattern, which you can find on Ravelry, and it has this texture of yarn over stitches, so it makes it look almost like it's woven. And the yarn for this is from Studio Meez, and the colorway is called Moss. It's an old one that I had a leftover skein from another socks, and this is Rosa Nauha yarn sock. I will add all the information below so you can check. But as I said, this is the same pattern as my Jules socks, which you can find on Ravelry, but I was thinking about making a junior version of the pattern, so these are sized for my 3-year-old son. Another pattern that I'm going to be publishing very soon. But baby socks. So let me show you what I have on my needles. This is my Onnen sweater, and as you can see, I'm just finishing the neckband here. I'm hoping to finish this by tomorrow so I can have this with me on our trip to Scotland. This has been my main whip for a while now, and as you can see, it's almost finished. This is knitted in the Fibre Company's Cumbria base, and the colorway is called U3, and I've been designing this sweater as part of the Fibre Company's yarn support program for indie designers, which means that they provided me with yarn support, and I'm responsible for the design process as well as test knitting and publishing the pattern independently on Ravelry. And I have finished writing the pattern for this, so it's ready for test knitting as soon as I have finished knitting the sweater. So if you are interested in test knitting for me, I have added the link to my Ravelry group here below this video, so you can check that out and easily find your way there. I will be posting all the information about upcoming test knits in my Ravelry group. Also for this hat and the socks, the mini version of the Jules socks, they will come there eventually. So let me show you a bit more about this design. This is a classic raglan sleeve pullover, and it is knitted from the hem upwards in a round, so it is totally seamless. And as I said, it has this raglan sleeve construction and a wide cable design here on the front, and this is one of my favorite designs at the moment, so I've been immensely excited about working with this yarn, this color, and also this design. So if you have been watching my YouTube channel, you might have seen the Sweater Chronicles mini-series I started. I have already uploaded the first 2 episodes. So if you are interested in knitwear design and all the work that goes behind a design, so how a design becomes from an idea to an actual published pattern on Ravelry and a real life sweater, I'm making the Sweater Chronicles series about that. So the first part I have already uploaded. It's about making submissions, and the second part is about making swatches and why swatching is important. I know it's a boring step and something that I myself would really like to skip if possible, but it's the foundation for everything that comes afterwards. So all the grading and sizes and exact measurements. So it is really important to swatch very carefully, and that's what I'm talking about in the second episode of the Sweater Chronicles. And I'm calling it Sweater Chronicles rather than a tutorial, as I'm not really teaching anything in it, but rather just showing you everything that goes into a design. So if you are interested in starting to design knitwear, or already have started to do it but want to know more, then you will probably find it interesting, I hope at least. And also if you're just interested in seeing how I do it, then I really recommend watching that mini-series. I have started filming the third part of the third episode of the Sweater Chronicles, and it will be about the grading, but as we are leaving for Scotland tomorrow, like I said, I haven't had time to finish filming it, so I will try to do it as soon as we are back home. But this has been my main whip, like I told, and almost ready. Almost ready. Other things I have on my needles is a sock project. I've been knitting this very simple vanilla socks, you might say. So just a simple stockinette stitch with a heel flap. These are knitted from cuff to toe. And I have the second sock over here. This is a project I'm going to be taking with me to Scotland tomorrow. I'm going to be knitting these. These are good road trip project, quite mindless. And the yarn I'm using is from Studio Meez, and this is the Fawn colorway, the Fawn sock set. So it has this mini skin of this bluish grey and also the mint green yarn. Another thing I started is fall scarf. Took me the longest time to learn how to knit brioche. I don't know, I think it looked so hard for some reason. I've been looking at all the beautiful brioche designs on Ravelry and on Instagram, but somehow it felt too intimidating for me to even try it. But I have finally started my first ever brioche project. There's not much yet to show. It's still in the beginnings, and this is going to be a scarf, like I said, but here it is, the beginnings of it, like this. And I'm using 2 yarns for it. This is Hedgehog Fibres Skinny Singles. This colorway is called Cereal, and this is from Madeline Tosh. And this is the Tosh Merino Light in the colorway Bittersweet. So here you can see them better. And here's the beginnings of my brioche project. If you haven't tried knitting brioche yet, it is so, like I said, it's so much easier than it looks like. I would probably say that for me at least, lace knitting is probably the hardest, and then cables, and I would place brioche easier than cables and lace. So if you can knit cables and lace, then it's really easy. It's almost like fisherman's rib, but just with 2 colors. And compared to like Fair Isle, where you are holding, or standard knitting, where you are holding multiple colors at the same time, for brioche you are only working with 1 color at a time, so there are no floats or stuff like that. So it's really easy. One final thing, like I said, we are going to Edinburgh and to Inverness tomorrow. I'm still planning what I will take with me. I will take the vanilla socks with me with the Fawn colorway, but I need something else, and as we are traveling I was thinking about taking something quite small with me, maybe a hat or socks, but I have been knitting so many hats lately, so probably I will start knitting another pair of socks. It's something that is easily portable and doesn't take a lot of space in a backpack when we are going hiking and so on. But I haven't decided which colorway to take with me. My 2 favorite yarns at the moment are from Annabelle Williams. This is her sock set, and this is Purple Basil and Peaches and Honey, this sock set. Or the other contender for my travel project is from Queen Fibres. This is the cuttlefish colorway. This is a super soft sock. So this is kind of like a My Little Pony version of yarn. So one of these, it will be traveling to Edinburgh tomorrow. I just haven't decided yet which one. I will try to film some little bits during the holiday. I don't know if you have enjoyed my videos when we have been to Berlin and other places where I show you some yarn shops, but I was thinking about doing that. But let me know if that's something you would be interested to see or not. I don't think I have anything else for today. That's everything. That was actually quite a lot of things. In the next episode, I will tell you about our trip to Scotland, and also the third episode of the Sweater Chronicles will be coming on YouTube after we come back home. See you then.